Beard.
Yo, what's going on? Boy Man Beard, how you doing? Hope you're all well. Today, I mentioned in another video that there's so much that's happened recently, and apologies for the cold. I got a bit of a blocked nose. But there's so much that's happened recently in the world of gaming. It's been hard to kind of keep up with everything, but the State of Play happened. And I missed it because I was about I was exactly 1 minute and 52 seconds late, just like this trailer here. And I missed the Tekken 8 trailer. Oh, how could I do it to myself? Because I didn't know it would be there. It came out of left field. But it came out and I watched it. And let's put it this way. I've watched it a lot. I mean a lot. Like, you don't understand how much I've watched it. It's insane. This interview came out about five or so days ago by IGN. This is an IGN interview they did with Mr. Harada, talking about the development process and the thoughts behind Tekken 8, and that I've read through it already a little bit, but it's quite interesting because it does reveal some details, nothing too major. But I'm not an expert by any means, so I'm sure other people who have covered this might have a bit more insight or whatever. But end of the day, Tekken fans be Tekken fans. I just want to know more about the game. So there are some parts that I will look at, some parts I won't be as so kind of focused in on, but it's really interesting to see the thought process. So reading here, IGN asks about how did you come to grips with Unreal Engine 5, the reflections, role in the rain, stuff like that, and how's it been with working with. And Harada sort of goes on to sort of say that we ported a lot of stuff over from Tekken 7 into Unreal Engine, and realised, wow, look at what this engine has done for this game. It's totally boosted it up and that, and they realised that, wow, it's just completely changed it, reaction times and the graphical level and the responses and that, and they're basically porting the game in to kind of see what's different and sort of building off of that and going from there and kind of learning from that through that process and learning Unreal Engine 5 and working with Epic to optimise it. So it's really interesting that they just wanted to see what it could do for their previous title, Tekken 7, and really interesting stuff. IGN asks, about the early planning phases of Tekken 8 and what were the discussions. And they talked about graphics as the main thing. Everyone's talked about the graphics of Tekken 7. It's very outdated. It's come out in arcades, like it always has. Came to console, and it's 7 years old now. Going on 8 years old, I reckon, soon enough. And then sold immensely well, 9 to 10 million copies, I believe. And but the graphics do, they do stand out. Solid fighting game, has been patched, 4+ times, and seasons and whatever. But graphically, it's definitely outdated. It's definitely an old PS4 fighting game at this point, or it definitely feels PS4 era fighting game, early fighting game sort of thing. Fighting games that have come since then, graphically, have been a lot better. I'm not saying that, Mortal Kombat, for instance, graphically is, the best fighting game going, but it definitely is a kind of good comparison to see, what Mortal Kombat's done with that game and, the graphics and stuff. So it's definitely feeling its age. But then Harada just goes on, saying that that people are making mods and stuff, and they see that they want different aspects from it. And PS1, I love when they talk about PS1, the polygons. It's like a showpiece of technology, and they drove the audience. But of course it did. And benchmarks in the PS1 era were kind of that. They were kind of, if we get so many polygons at a certain point, and make it move at certain frames, it's going to look incredible. And Tekken 1 did. Tekken 1 looked amazing. Tekken 1 was just at the time, it was just it was so good. You just, you couldn't, it was just the best fighting game going. IGN asks about perspective where Jin and Kazuya right now as characters. It's interesting about Tekken's story, because when I talk to people about Tekken, they always say, what's the story of Tekken? What's Tekken's story? And then nobody really knew about Tekken's story until Tekken 7 because of the story mode. So a lot of casuals will kind of oh, this is the story of Tekken 7, whereas people who played it from the beginning onwards knew the story, and knew there was rivalry between father and son. Oh, who's Jin? Oh, who's Jin? Jin's Kazuya's son. Who's the mum? It was Jin. Oh, what? you know, Ogre, oh, killed Jin, oh, you know, and then it's just, you know, as fighting game, whereas Tekken fans, you kind of, you know, you kind of piece it together with all the endings and the openings. That's how you piece the story together. Opening cutscene, and ending cutscenes in the originals. That's how you built the game. But for every single game, there was always the winner of the tournament. Tekken 1 was Kazuya. Tekken 2 was Heihachi. Tekken 3 was Heihachi again. Tekken 4 was who was Tekken 4's winner? Was it No, it wasn't Kazuya. Tekken 4, was it? No one won. I think it was kind of like a draw, wasn't it? Because then when Tekken 5 started, it was started by Jinpachi, and then Jin won Tekken 5. He was running Tekken 6, and then Tekken 7. Who was the winner in Tekken? Who was the winner in Tekken 7? Tekken 6 story. Who won? It's still Jin, wasn't it? No, Jin won in hiatus. It was someone else. Was it? Did Kazuya get? I can't remember now. I can't remember who won Tekken 6. My Tekken 6 knowledge is pretty bad, but I know that, you know, the winners of the tournaments, and I know Paul came really close once in Tekken 3. Obviously, tags don't count because they're not canon, but yeah, really great stuff. So yeah, obviously, you know, you talk about like Jin and Kazuya's story, like it's and Harada does say he's had it planned out from the beginning. He's had like 90% of it like ready to go, stuff like that, and you know, and IGN then points out their team Kazuya, which is weird because like Kazuya actually started off like the good guy, like is it the, you know, it's interesting like looking at like that trailer from Evo, where you've got Kazuya carrying Heihachi to the cliff and just letting him slide off his arms and fall, and he smiles at the camera and he's looking all handsome, his hair's looking good, he's looking really good, he's looking young and youthful, and boom, cut straight to the Tekken 8 version of him. Eyes red, the devil gene spliced in, scars from the cloning. He's all like messed up, and you take that smirk of his, and it's like, yo, look at the descent into power. You know, young boy chucked off a cliff by his dad, meant to climb back up, but the devil gene inside of him, you know, passed down from his mum, you know, just consumed him, gave him the strength to beat him, and he's like, oh, you know, I've done it, I've made it, but the power, and then the glory of having the Mishima's Zaibatsu under his fingertips. Oh, just what a corruption, what story! It just builds itself. It's great writing, you know, and that's the. And again, you look at the technology of the time, it's hard to kind of express those kind of stories with what you have. So you have to like build it later on down the line and realise, oh, there was this running story all the way through, and you know. But yeah, I mean, you've got Kazuya's been like he's the beginning. Kazuya's like he's the focus right at the start. Then Jin comes in, and it's hard not to like Jin because Jin looks absolutely just gorgeous. You know, he's a gorgeous character, and he's so good. He's had like a massive change. He's gone from like, you know, Mishima fighting style from Tekken 3, and he totally breaks his body down and rebuilds it using traditional karate. But obviously, he has hints of Mishima style in there, you know, with the cans and the, you know, he's still got like the Kazama style in there as well, you know. But when he goes Devil Jin, you know, it's pure Mishima style mixed with Kazama style. You know, it's just a pure merger. It's crazy. It's great how, you know, the same character can be so different, you know, in both iterations. Amazing. But yeah, and he does say, Harada says that, you know, people weren't happy when Jin was about to become a villain, but it's just the right way, and it's just the right way to deal with Jin. If you've got like Jin Kazama, it's just destiny. He's got to follow in his father's footsteps, even though as much as he doesn't want to. It has to be done. Oh, sorry about the cold. I'm snorting here, like, you know, it has to be done. You have to follow the footsteps here. And then IGN asks, how do you feel about the reaction to the raid system? And Arts and Rage Dive will be returning for Tekken 8. So in the trailer of State of Play, we did see Jin bust out that One Wing Angel stance, and chills. I'm happy for them to come back. If they look that good, as if they are coming back and they look as good as one Jin performed, short, sweet, to the point, but look absolutely beautifully crafted like that, graphically. Oh, please, bring them back. I would love to see them. Rage Drive as well. I think they're a great addition. People were a bit kind of like, at first, and Harada does say that. It took a little while for people to kind of understand them and realise they were a comeback mechanic. but they can be used very effectively. And they digested it, and their opinion changed, and it's a great addition. Kind of skimming through, and they can't talk about it now for Tekken 8, obviously, but they're looking forward to a later date to reveal some more information. And chances are we might get it at the Game Awards. We might get a bit more, maybe an actual full-fledged fight. Like a one. I mean, we've had like a gameplay, but health bars, time, and it's another stage. And maybe not just Jin Kazuya, maybe some other characters. IGN asked to be an arcade version before an update for a console release. So they're talking about PS5, Xbox Series X, S, and Steam. For the first time in history, it's not going to the arcades, which means that significantly reduced times to get to console. Because when you go to arcade, it was usually 2 to 3 years of playtesting on arcades, or maybe 2 years of playtesting on arcade before we even got it on a console. And then we were always the last to get it in Europe, say, unless I was at arcade. Oh, sorry, God. It was always we was always the last to get it in Europe because of our arcade scene's pretty poor over here, especially in the UK. I'm not sure about other parts of Europe, but I know it's pretty poor here in the UK. It's very rare you see an arcade anymore. Especially now with consoles and the access to it just slowly died over time. IGN asked about the slow-mo during the trailer. Will there be implements of it during in game? Harada says it slows it down too much when you build up momentum, and you don't want to put it in because it looks good. It just gets in the way. There's a balance you've got to achieve, and if something's not locked in yet. And so they can't say either way. I mean, a lot of people really liked it during the trailer. I think if it's during the really clutch moments, like it's a clash, when Jin and Kazuya's fists come to hit each other and they bounce off. I'm not saying that mechanic. I'm just saying let's say two characters throw a punch or throw an attack. It's quite equally in strength, like the clash mechanic from Tekken 7, where the screen sort of flashed black and white for a second, and the characters sort of they're stunned. They're both stunned. Let's say you did that, but in super slow motion, slow motion anyway, and then whoever obviously got the attack off first, whoever's got the better properties, wins the clash. That's where you could probably, I would say, get a slow motion in. It seemed like a really good shot. IGN asks, it's still early, but a big question has been asked by a lot of fans: how much customization? I've always said this personally. I love the customization. I think it's great. Costumes are all cool, like DLC costumes and that. But when you get to design your own character and give it a flavour, it's always awesome. And modders do a lot of that. They create costume pieces, and you're putting different masks on characters and different body parts, and recreating characters using move sets from old games, and bringing them into the main game is pretty interesting. So yeah, I mean Harada doesn't go into it. It says he didn't. He said I don't think he was a big fan of it actually. Looking at this, I think we should never included customization. I don't think it was going to be such a thing until after it was released and everyone really took to it. So people still want more customization, and they just use skins. Street Fighter uses skins because they saw that to develop customization, how intensive it is on resources. So they decided, instead of customization on Street Fighter 6, Street Fighter, I keep saying 6 because it's so in my mind. Street Fighter, just do skins. Not a bad idea. Guest characters. This is a big one because obviously everyone talks about Kuma's coming back for Tekken 8. Reading this interview and basically based on, I'm going to read this one because it's important, but based on Harada's response, I don't think he's coming back. I don't think a lot of them are coming back, guest characters. So we were quite happy with the results. When we first announced guest characters, the fans were just so shocked, both good and bad. But just that reaction they got from seeing it was really satisfying. It was ultimately a win for us because they did quite well. It was a win for the fans because they got something brand new and different for the series, and it was a win for the IP owners because they saw what we made and they saw the reactions from the fans, and they were really happy about the results. So everyone won. The fans won, the game won, and the IP owners won because all their characters got represented really well. So I think everyone in general around was quite happy with the guest characters and how they turned out for Tekken 7. Fair. Now, there was one drawback. The president of our company, Yasuo Miyakawa, it was his first time going to Evo in Las Vegas. He had one of those box areas, VIP seating, and we're watching the first match of the game. Normally I'd sit next to him and explain the players, the characters we're using, the strategy, etc, etc. But it was funny because that same time, just out of the blue, Yasuyuki Oda, who used to work at Capcom, he was at our VPR and he sat down with a president and said, "Hey, I'm Oda, nice to meet you." And then he sat down, instead of me explaining what's going on, he was pointing out Akuma from Street Fighter, Geese from the SNK series. So he was quite entertained to see that. But I was like, wow, that's one of the things you have to watch out for with guest characters, I suppose. So basically what he's saying there is, even though the guest characters are in it, if there's somebody who's a fan of the franchise and they don't know Tekken very well and they're not invested in their characters, but they see characters like, you know, Geese, and you've got Akuma, you've got Negan, Noctis, but you're fans of those IPs, you're going to always point those characters. Oh, look, there's Geese, look, there's Akuma, look, oh, look, there's Noctis. But you're not kind of like, you're not drawn to the original roster, you're drawn to the guest roster. You know, I suppose it's not a bad drawback, but it definitely kind of takes emphasis away. And then it moves on to the next question: is it something you can see yourself doing again for Tekken 8 guest characters? Harada says, "We're not talking about wanting the guest characters to hang around for Tekken 8, but in general, not even just for Tekken, but in general, it is something that we are really happy we did, because it's good that it kind of motivation working with some new material, and also just the connections you made up with other people doing so working with other people. I brought up working with Oda-san from SNK and how I had him in our panel at Comic Con one year, and that building relationships is also a really cool part of working with other companies. It is obviously something that we enjoy doing, and if the fans enjoy it, it's something that we would consider again. That's as far as it goes. So they're considering it. It's not definitely happening, but guest characters aren't going to be hanging around. So, I mean, if you brought Tekken 8 out and you look at the character selection screen and Kuba's still sitting there, he's not part of the roster. He shouldn't be there. Like, he was there for Tekken 7 because, you know, he was important. He was kind of like a nice little buzz for the story. You know, it was kind of like get a bit of, you know, a nice little bit of working relationship with, like, you know, Capcom and stuff like that. But keeping guest characters around for an original for Tekken 8, I personally don't think they should do it. I think just get rid of all guest characters. Any guest characters should be gone. They had their moment in the sun. And I'm sorry if you're a Akuma main or you love Akuma, Geese and all that, but just they've got to go. Not because they're broken or not strong. It's because this is Tekken 8. Tekken 8. This is the next generation Tekken. Make a statement with your original characters, you know, or a new character or something, you know. Make a statement with those characters. Don't open up character selection. Tekken 8 first reveal. There's Akuma. That's the first thing I'm going to look for. I'm going to be looking like, where's the guest character? Where's Akuma? Everyone wants to know if Akuma's going to be in Tekken 8. It's like it takes such emphasis away from the game. I want to see what Lars looks like. I want to see what, you know, are they going to bring Heihachi back? I want to see what, you know, the bears are going to look amazing if they're in it. Like, I want to see what Paul looks like. I want to see what Yoshimitsu looks like. I don't care about Akuma. I don't care about Geese. I don't care about any of the guest characters. I want to see what Marduk looks like. Marduk is going to look king as well. Armor King, if he's in it. Holy shit. I know he was DLC, but god damn. You know what I mean? And then IGN goes on to talk about Kazuya in Smash Brothers. Again, I don't watch Smash too much. It's really cool, but it was really interesting, like, you know, seeing how passionate other people were about bringing the characters in. They knew quite a lot about them. And they're talking about, like, kind of preparing Tekken 8. Here, IGN asks, you know, in Street Fighter 6 and the general state of fighting games. It don't seem like he talks about much in anything. It's just saying there's no competition. It does well for the fighting games. You know, they were all in the arcades and then they went to console, and now we're shifting just to console releases, no arcade releases. Talks about Riot's game Project L, which is really cool because he says it's another shift. He says if they make that a free to play, that will change the fighting game scene again. It will change the dynamic again, because instead of making a fighting game you got to pay for it, you're making a fighting game that's free to play, like, you know, League of Legends. So again, you're winning again if you're a fan of League of Legends, which I played League of Legends. It's a fighting game that I'm going to pick up because it's got characters I know about, and a lot of probably League of Legends players will then come onto fighting games because it's League of Legends. So then you've got another batch of players from another IP, being a MOBA, or being like a, you know, whatever you call it, you know, is it a MOBA? Nah, is it a MOBA? But, you know, like an arena game, you know, whatever you call League anymore, and you're bringing them into a fighting game franchise. you've just opened up the doors for other fighting games. Every fighting game, like, you know, creator and player and all that, they'll be like, oh, you like fighting games? Oh, I play Project L. Oh, look at this game, it's Tekken 8. Oh my god, it looks so good. Oh, this character is Beast. Oh, it's Jin. Oh, it's, you know, oh, look, it's Street Fighter. Oh, look, it's Ryu and Ken. Oh my god, I've seen the films, the old anime. You know, you just, you know, people play League of Legends might not play fighting games. They just might play League. Young kids just play it. I think PC games, what's easy to play? Play an online free game. Boom. So it's good. It works. Everyone wins. IGN asks, you know, turning point in the story. Talking about this is about the backgrounds they were fighting in. Also, I mean, I was watching Little Margin's reaction to the trailer actually, and Little Margin actually said about like the tornadoes reminded me of last is it was it the Jinpachi stage, you know, the you know, Ground Zero, and I was literally thinking the exact same thing. You know, he said what I was thinking. Ground Zero, the tornadoes, so good, you know, great reference as well, amazing. Little Large is awesome, definitely check him out if you ever get a chance to. Then Arjan asked about what was it like working on the PS5 versus the Xbox versus the PC. Harada's a PC gamer, likes building his own PC, and you know, so he just said it was unfair that consoles aren't good at a price point. So he's not happy about price points of consoles because he wants people to play his game as much as possible. You know, so, and obviously building the best PC he can so he can play, like, the graphical edge, he says, the performance edge. You know, he likes to experience that. Damn right, mate. I'm right with you on that one. So, yeah. But that's kind of, I mean, you'll go read this for yourself. It kind of goes down and says, building everything from the ground up. Talks a bit more about, you know, graphical graphics, and people have worked for Tekken for a long time. You know, and they don't want to make a 7.5 Tekken. They want to make a Tekken 8 and stuff, and then don't want to break it too much. And then goes on about how to play it and stuff like that. I mean, I don't want to sort of like go on anymore, but I've kind of covered the things I felt like were important. But you know, I think the trailer speaks for itself. I think this interview is really good, definitely worth a read. Obviously, because of my cold, it's hard to talk a lot, so I'm bunged up here. I need a drink. So, but thank you so much for kind of hanging around and having listened to my rant about Tekken. But I mean, it's going to be incredible. Tekken 8, Street Fighter 6 is looking really good, but Tekken 8, it's the game. It's the game I'm waiting for. So I'm really excited to see more. And you know, the sound. Oh, the trailer's incredible. Please watch the trailer. It's so good. Like, if you haven't already, if you have, watch it again because it deserves it. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there. Thank you so much for watching. Really appreciate it. Make sure to like and subscribe if you haven't already. And yeah, the link to this interview will be in the description box below. IGN knows all the rights to the interview. I don't hold anything. I'm just reading it. And yeah, watch the trailer. Watch it. King of the Iron Fist. Tekken 8's back, baby. Let's go. Right. Anyway, take care. Have a lovely afternoon, day, morning, even night, wherever you are. Goodbye. See you later.